Hello and welcome to the Ferg Neil Show podcast. It has been a huge week for art and a huge week for billionaires. Starting off last week, we had the son of a billionaire comment on one of my podcast clips. His name is Bobby Misner. He said that Macklemore was a nerd, which sure. Bobby, we Googled you. And this is what came up. I'm an icon to rich kids inside the world of YouTuber Bobby Misner. Meet the son of a billionaire who has a life of fast cars and women, private jets, beautiful girls, and the craziest parties. Meet the son of an Australian billionaire who was kicked out of an exclusive UK school, bad boy alert, before living the high life. And he even claims to have dated Lindsay Lohan. How is that your LinkedIn? How is that your LinkedIn? This is awesome. I'm so glad he came into the comment section for the beef. I hope he comes back after this podcast because it is the era of billionaires. Let's be honest. It is the era of billionaires. Bobby Misner even said that he thinks that people on welfare, why do billionaires always have something to say about welfare? Like, wouldn't that be the least of your concerns? Wouldn't it be the least of your concerns who's selling the big issue in front of Swanson Street? Wouldn't you be caring about like the influx of the economy and inflation? Do you really care about a dude on the sidewalk down on his luck? Why are they always like, Mr. Billionaire, what do you think? And they fall into the honey trap straight away. They're like, yeah, I think they're rotting the welfare system. It's like, you've been rotting the tax system. That's much worse. Isn't that much worse? I've never understood that when there's like a multi-billionaire who saves millions upon millions in tax cuts because he's registered his business in the Canary Islands. And they're like, but what about this dude on welfare who gets $400 a fortnight? It's like, yeah, I think are we missing something here? Are we missing something here? We will come back to Tom. Tom, we're going to put a pin in you. We will come back to you. Okay, because we've got bigger billionaires to fry. And one day this podcast will become the podcast of a billionaire, whether it happens in my lifetime or I pass away and they pour my consciousness into Neuralink and there's just an AI version of me hosting this. So when you're in your 80s, you can look back and go, remember the good old days? Remember the glory days? Because in Australia, we don't have oligarchs. We have mining magnates. And one of our best mags got violated by a painting in the National Gallery. She tried to take it down, and now they're talking about it on American late night television. If Gina Rinehart blew up this gallery, it would not be the first time Rio Tinto has blown up a cultural site. Why is she letting these artists get away with this slander? Listen to me. If I was a billionaire and some peasant with an arts degree did this to me with a brush, started this war, I would Rio Tinto the shit out of this exhibition. I wouldn't let this get away. I wouldn't let this slide under the table. All right. I remember before my year 7 disco, my vice principal stuck my photo on the front of the newsletter. If we found it, it'll be on your screen right now if you're watching this on YouTube. Stuck my photo on the front of the newsletter. It was like a week before the year 7 disco. All right. When everybody's like that weird level of year 7, you know what I mean? You're looking for someone just to touch your neck. That's how horny you are as a young, you like touch my neck and I'll explode. That was the level. And they stuck me on the front of the newsletter. I looked like Noddy and the 40-year-old virgin had a son. That's what I looked like. So when it first came out, everybody was laughing. So I went around the whole school and collected every single newsletter and burnt it. It was kind of like, it was my shrine of remembrance. I'm like, let's burn this so we can remember, but also move on. Let's also move on. So I'm not going to pretend I don't understand why Gina Rinehart is getting swimmers who probably have iron ore in their budgie smugglers to lobby and get this painting taken down. It's a horror. It's a horror. It has to be on purpose. It has to be on purpose, this painting. Like, the double chin is unbelievably pronounced. just think about, if you're a billionaire and this painting came out, you would be like, we've got a problem. We've got a problem. This isn't going to go down lightly. Google searches for Gina Rinehart have exploded. Before 15th of May, the day the stories came out about Rinehart's portrait, demand was published. Interest in Rinehart on Google was at roughly zero, meaning there was not enough search data for the term. But after the news broke, Australia and New Zealand were the top 2 regions searching Gina Rinehart. Wow. So Gina Rinehart has become famous. And if you look at the other portraits, all the other portraits are in good taste. Like, it's like a nice portrait, nice portrait, nice portrait. Then it comes up to Gina Rinehart and you go, oh, sweet Lord, it's a violation. It's a violation. But again, because it's a billionaire, we don't care. All right? There's something in the culture right now, even after Telstra firing 1 in its 10 employees yesterday, there's something in the culture where people are going, look, it's a bit much. It's a bit much. There's like a war in Gaza and you're at the Met Gala. Everyone's like, in 2019, that shit could fly, but the split screen isn't great. That's what celebrities should be thinking right now. They should be thinking, what will the split screen of this look like? What will this split screen entail? If I'm getting a photo, let's imagine the split screen of this, because that has to be in your consciousness at all times. Never let it get too far out of your consciousness. Otherwise, you're at the Met Gala telling people to eat some cake, while on the other side of the world, people are praying for cake. All right? That influencer who said, let them eat cake, that didn't go down well. To be fair, I don't think she knew the historical significance of Marie Antoinette saying that in the midst of the French Revolution while the peasants had no bread to eat. I don't think she had that cultural knowledge. And that's why we love influencers, because they can just jump on TikTok and say whatever they want without ever having to have read a book. That's crazy, isn't it? We've just got influencers dictating where the culture goes. And it's exciting. Well, say what you want about 2024. Electricity prices are high. Inflation is high. But you can turn on TikTok and it is the greatest reality television program in existence. There is a menagerie of just critical public relations errors every single day, compounding. And if you don't laugh, you cry. And that's what this podcast is about. It's about having a good time, having a weep, and having a laugh. I've always said that. It's a moment for billionaires. They're having a moment. All right? Bobby Misner is commenting on my videos, and he's the son of a billionaire. That's how bored these billionaires are. These billionaires and billionaires' kids are so bored, they're going to an Australian comedian and commenting on his video about Macklemore. So never be jealous of the billionaires. It's not all it's cracked up to be. All right? There's something about seeing 7 zeros in your bank account that goes, you know what? I'm going to go and find a local comedian, comment on his video to feel like a big dog. That's what they do. Okay? That's what they do. They just watch the market fluctuate and they go, where's a comedian who I can come at so that they have an unbelievable amount of fodder for their next podcast? Because when Bobby commented on is his name Bobby? Yeah. When Bobby commented, damn it, Bobby. When Bobby commented on my video, I'm like, I've got another topic for a podcast. Thank you, Bobby Misner. I wonder if Bobby Misner and Gina Rinehart hang out. Do the billionaires hang out? Surely they have those parties in Australia, those eyes wide shut parties where in a former Indigenous heritage site, they've built like a bunker and they're all down there going, guys, I've got a great idea to sell magazines. What is it? What if we got homeless people to sell the magazines? We called it The Big Issue and we didn't even give them a dime. What are you talking about? I went to the Big Issue offices and they had a foosball table. They were all tertiary educated journalists. I said, guys, this is a bit messed up. This is a bit messed up. They said it was Gina Rinehart's idea. I said, guys, just because Gina Rinehart says something doesn't mean you have to do it. We all hope this portrait of Gina Rinehart is the last thing found after the fallout from a nuclear explosion. I hope that when the nukes fly. And just before we crumble into darkness, we see an amazing sound and light show. One of the best things you've ever seen. One of the best sound and light shows in 4D. It's like Dream World where they squirt water in your face and then you get hit in the head by a nuke. When the fallout happens and there's dust particles and there's all little Wall-E robots crawling over the earth, I hope that the only remnant of human civilization is this Gina Rinehart portrait, because that encapsulates the culture. You can be a billionaire, but the artists, the peasantry, will make fun of you. And you can ask to have it taken down, but it won't be taken down, all right? If a politician owned this gallery, you would be able to take it down, because I've seen Gina Rinehart in these private jets with Peter Dutton, all right, with all the Duttons, with everybody, you know? These politicians who are like, yeah, we're anti-elitist, but we're in a private jet, and it's a good time. It's a fun time. It's the best of times. Planes aren't in good light at the moment because of the turbulence. What happened on that plane? Turbulence. I was on a flight and I was sitting next to my friend, and he actually said to me verbatim, he said, "Don't worry, Ferg. No one has passed away from turbulence in the history of aviation." I'm not going on Kentucky ever again. I'm just going to hold my piss in. If I'm on a plane and I have to piss, I'm just going to hold it in, because I know I'll be the person who unclips, walks down the hallway, and will just fly into the top of the plane. That's what I imagine severe turbulence is, where you're walking, you're like, all right, I'm going to go to that weird bathroom, and then you just hit the top deck of the plane. Those were terrifying photos, but then also I saw a video of the people on the plane, and the plane had stopped, and it was like they were just like all kind of elderly British people going, what's happened? What's going on? I think the ones who had their seatbelts on were fine. I never thought that a seatbelt on a plane was necessary until this. You know what I mean? I thought that seatbelts were kind of there just to make you feel safe. I thought the seatbelts were there so that I felt good internally. I could go, they're helping our safety. You know, they're giving us life jackets. They're giving us oxygen that falls down from the sky. They care about us. But since this turbulence incident, now I know, the seatbelts are so that I don't hit the ceiling. That's what that's for. I always thought the seatbelts in a plane were like the seatbelt in a car. I'm like, if we crash, I won't go through the front windscreen. Now I know it's so that if we have turbulence, I don't hit the top of the plane. Can someone explain that on the safety videos? Can we add that to the safety videos? When I go on the next Air New Zealand flight, before you say kia ora, can you tell me to put my seatbelt on? Because if we hit extreme turbulence, I'll hit the top of the plane. Can we maybe add that as a part of a disclaimer? Please. That would be much appreciated. Bobby Misner. Private jets, beautiful girls, and the craziest parties. The son of a billionaire entrepreneur who was kicked out of one of the world's most prestigious schools and claims to have dated Lindsay Lohan has spoken about his life of fast cars, beautiful women, and parties. Bobby Misner is the son of Tom Misner, founder of the SAE Institute Music School. How do you make $1 billion from a musical school? He grew up with his mother in a single-parent household after his parents divorced. Bobby said it wasn't until he turned 15 that he realized his father was a billionaire businessman with private jets, super yachts, and mansions in some of the world's most desirable locations. Okay, what's going on here? Now it's got him with two models. What's happening here? Why? He's pouring champagne on his head. What's going on? This is why people shouldn't become rich. If you're a billionaire, I don't want you to find that out at 15. I want you to just have that kind of weird sadness that super rich people have and live with, because they know it's never going to be enough. You ever have those? I had, like, when I went to uni, you meet these rich friends. I can't say his name, but there's a guy in my uni who was like, his dad was the 7th rich person in Australia. I shouldn't say friend. I went to one party and he was there and I'm like, give me some money. But I knew him because I was doing a Bachelor of Arts. He was doing a Bachelor of Science or Commerce. Who cares? He's a billionaire. It doesn't matter. And he had this weird melancholy where I think, like, when we all strive for money in this capitalist society, but I think when you have all the money, you kind of realize that what the world is orientated around is kind of a mirage. So you have this deep, deep sadness that will never be filled. And so you have to go to comedians' Instagrams and comment on their videos. I think, honestly, that's what goes on. Tom Misner said, my dad started getting a lot of nice things. Is this guy okay? So you didn't know your dad was a billionaire? Bobby said in a YouTube video titled Life of a Billionaire's Son. Your life is like a movie and you're the main character, so why wouldn't you make it the greatest movie you've ever seen? Calling himself a little bit of a misfit kid and the kid who has everything, Bobby said because his father was absent from home, he misbehaved as a child. Bobby likes to live a fast life. Fast cars, beautiful car, beautiful girls, party. Is he speaking about himself in third person? Bobby likes to live life fast. Fast cars, beautiful girls, parties. My mum hasn't always been like this. I was born in Australia and I was raised by a single mum. Why? Can you play the single mum card if you're a billionaire? Can you? She always saw me as a perfect child, so I got away with a lot more than I should have. This meant that I had to move to a lot of different schools, 10 to be exact. I didn't grow up rich. I didn't grow up poor. I was fairly average. I didn't know my dad had a lot of money until I turned 15. What's going on? Why do even the billionaires try and come across as having a tough life? Everybody does this. I got friends who went to elite private schools and they're like, it was tough. I'm like, you went to Scotch College. How hard can it be? They're like, yeah, but everybody in Australia thinks they're middle class. That's the weird thing about Australia's class system. Everybody in Australia, it doesn't matter if you're uber rich or uber poor, you think you're middle class. It's like a mirage in the culture. This meant that I had to move to a lot of different schools. All right, it's got him next to a Ferrari while I was giving us these movies. I moved to Europe. My dad started getting a lot of nice things. We got a villa in St. Tropez and houses in Monaco, a home in London, super yacht, private jet. What's this guy? I think he might just be very dumb. That's the vibe I'm getting. I think he still doesn't know he's a billionaire when his dad's buying houses in Monaco. Is something not clicking here? Bobby said he disliked being labeled as a spoiled brat because his family was wealthy. Yes, my dad has a private jet and I love flying in it. Yes, my dad has a mansion and cars and I love making videos with him. Who wouldn't, he said. But I've never pretended those things are something that I earned. I recognize my dad is the one who worked hard for them. Is he following me on Instagram? Please tell me. Let's go to Bobby Misner's Instagram. This is the best thing this podcast has ever discovered. Bobby Misner, come on. This is incredible. Okay, if we type him in, please tell me he's got a public Instagram. Yes, blue tick. Yes. Yes, it's as bad as I thought. He's got a new motion picture coming out May 25th. Oh, we've got to watch that next week on the podcast. A live watching. All right, he put up an Instagram a story of him drinking a beer, saying never too early for a beer in the airport. I think he might just be the dumbest. Yes. His first video posted, it says, Rich Lives Matter. Can I watch this? All right. Oh, is it a video? He said, Rich Lives Matter. And it's him on a boat saying taxes for suckers, Rich Lives Matter. This is the best. Oh, can we watch this? Oh, it's not going to play. Oh, Rich Lives Matter might be the best thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It might be the greatest phrase we've heard in the current culture. This is what I'm saying. This is why we need billionaires, because it's entertaining. We need billionaires in the culture because this level of entertainment is hard to come by. Let's be honest. TV has dropped. TV has dropped to a point where it is more entertaining to watch the billionaires. Just watch them. After this podcast, go to Tommy Misner's YouTube or Instagram and just enjoy yourself. It doesn't matter if you just spent $70 on a packet of tiny teddies at Woolworths. Just watch it and go, okay, I'm actually glad I'm not him. You know, right before the revolution happens, it's kind of fun to just see how disconnected we all are. You know how disconnected we all are, because we all are disconnected. That's the wild thing. We all have our blind spots. I have my blind spots for sure. But the blind spot of a billionaire, they're walking around Compton with a cane. They're having an unbelievably wild time, you know, a wild time. Guys, I didn't plug it at the start of the podcast. I am doing a live show in Brisbane on June 1. It's going to be a riot, all right? We might get Bobby Misner. I'm going to message him and ask if he'll fly in. Do you reckon if I asked Bobby Misner to come on his private jet, he would let me fly in his private jet? Is that possible? Could that occur? Could that happen where Fergus Neal, who got notoriety from talking about the cost of living crisis, could he manifest onto a jet? Is that something in my zeitgeist that we can achieve? I hope so. I hope so for you, the podcast listeners, and I hope for me, the podcast host. I'm on a jet. I want to be on a jet. Is his comment on my Instagram still there? I can't tell you guys how excited I am about this. It's one of the great moments in every comedian's life is when the son of a billionaire comments on your vid. I don't know why. It gives you a lift that you didn't think you needed. You know what I mean? You're like, did I need this? Yes, I definitely needed this. And it feels lit. Guys, this podcast, we're at number 9 in Australia. We're growing, baby. We're not number 9 in Australian stand-up podcasts. We're not putting out any fake news, all right? We're not beating those true crime documentaries. But we're in the mix. Tell your friends about the podcast. Leave a 5-star review. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. Come to my Brisbane show, June 1. It's selling fast. I think we're like 70% sold out. All right, it's still 2 weeks away, so come down. My name's Fergus Neal, and this is the Ferg Neal Show podcast.